Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Adam from Spiritus Systems, and today we're doing a team room for you. It's a little different, though. We're not doing a team room about one of our products. We're actually going to highlight somebody else's product. But before we start, I'm going to take a drink here. It really is so good. A little obnoxious, but I kind of wanted to prove a point. Water. We take it for granted every day. We bathe in it. We take excessively long showers. We water massive golf courses, all with fresh water. We flush our excrement down the toilet. And this water in this bottle that I have is completely purified, clean, treated. I rely on it every day. I drink water every day, and it's free. I just go up to some kind of dispenser, a faucet, we have a water thing in here that we can just put a water bottle in and just fill it up, and you don't really think anything of it. You go to a restaurant, they don't even charge you for it. You go in, you sit down, the waiter just shows up, 2 glasses of water, and half the time you don't even drink it, right? You order something else. And so water security in the US is all but assured most of the time. We take it for granted. It's almost as if it doesn't exist to us. But that's not true for the rest of the world. Most of the world struggles with water security. And actually, humanity has struggled with water security for forever, especially since humans started moving into more of a suburban or urban environment. So something we take for granted. And in this video, we're going to be talking mostly about a product, but I did want to start off with kind of some of the theory and implications behind water security and, ignoring it. So in America, we have what we need. We've established that. But what do you do when you no longer have what you need, or when your water security is compromised? We have a couple of examples, like really good ones, and they're big ones, and they're anecdotal, but they're still there. Hurricane Katrina. We have Flint, Michigan. We have the recent train derailment. All of these things are causing water insecurity in the United States for people that are not used to having insecurity in their water plan. And what happens, right? The government, the federal government or the state government, has to step in and start trying to provide clean water. In some of these cases, Hurricane Katrina, natural disaster, it came and it went, and people were suffering down there without water, but it went away because now, we're back in New Orleans and there's water there, so no big deal. Other places like Flint, Michigan, the water is still compromised to this day. They have not figured out how to fix it, and honestly, with the tools that we have available to us, we're not going to be able to fix it long-term in a situation like Flint, Michigan, but we are going to be able to get you and your family, kind of quote-unquote off the X as it pertains to water security. So that being said, water is important. It's the most important thing that you should be considering in your preparation plan, is how to procure water, how to purify water, and how to mass produce water, which that last one is critical. We'll talk about a little bit later about filters and filtration and the REI specials and Sawyer and Platypus and MSR and all these things, but we're going to focus more on this product here. So what is the product? The product is the AR1, and it is produced by another company called CANA Provisions. CANA Provisions was born out of kind of a niche need for water security. The guys over there have experience with water insecurity, working in Africa, and also from just planning their own water security here in the US. They have come up with what I think is to be a very robust and polished product, like turnkey product that you can get, and you can put it on your shelf, and then the day you need it, you pull it off, it's going to work, and it's going to deliver the things that you need. It's going to be part of your water kit. It's not the full kit. This is the kind of the first stage piece of the kit, which is important to kind of talk about. And it is a pump. It is a water pump. It is the way that we will take water from a source and secure it for ourselves, take water from a source and move it to a different source. That's what it does, but it does it very well. And there are a lot of considerations for that. Who is this directed at? That's another question that we get asked a lot. We've been testing this for a few months. Well, actually, we've been testing the prototypes for a couple years, but this is kind of the polished product, this one for a few months. And we get asked, who is this for? Well, really, it's for anybody who has concerns, which everyone should be concerned about their water security. But it could be a civilian, it could be the military, it could be anywhere. If you're in the military now and you're considering what might be your mission in the next 24 months, we have Pacific theater, European theater. If you look at what's going on right now in Ukraine, there's water insecurity everywhere. If you look at what will be happening, if you are a Marine who will be in the Pacific Islands, you will have water insecurity. It will be very difficult for you to procure water. The military doesn't even have a great plan anymore for mass producing water at the platoon and lesser level of things. So I want to give a shout out to CANA Provisions for creating the product. Full disclosure, we paid for it. So we paid for the prototype versions we've had. We've paid for the production version that we have. We are not sponsored by CANA Provisions. We have no affiliation besides the fact that we use their products. So that's out of the way. The second thing I would like to note is the Direct Action Resource Center, and in particular, the TUSC curriculum, or the Tactical Urban Sustainment course. If you have been through it, then you know already the principles about what we're going to talk about. If you have not been through it, I recommend getting down there, and you will find out very quickly that water security is absolutely critical. But I want to give a shout out to them because this pump was born based off of that curriculum, which can, basically is a non-permissive environment curriculum. So framing what this pump is used for, non-permissive, non-clean water sources, that's where we're at. So let's get into the pump now. So it ships to you inside of a wonton, right? That is a Spiritus product. It is a mesh product. This is, something we help them out with early on. They probably will migrate to something else eventually, but right now this is what you may get your product in this. It may be in something similar. So mesh wonton, it's a mesh pouch so that you can put wet components in it, and then they will dry over time. They'll evaporate. You don't have to worry about them sitting in that damp environment forever. They will kind of dry off on their own. The first thing I'm going to pull out are these hoses. So we have two hoses, so I'm just going to set them down. So short hose, and then we have a long hose. So we'll talk about those in a minute. And then we have this power supply, which this is a 12-volt vehicle cigarette lighter adapter to Anderson plug. So that comes standard with it. And then finally, we have the pump itself. So a lot of people are going to recognize some of the components on this pump. And there's already been a ton of grumbling about how much the pump costs and why would I do that when I can do it myself? You're absolutely right. There are a ton of people out there very capable, very handy, who can buy a pump. I have used these pumps in my personal vehicles for many, many years. I use this to move water around when I'm camping, things like that. But I will tell you, they don't last as long as this pump has lasted, and they do not have the cycle count before they fail. And there's a couple of key design features that some of them patent pending that make this work a little better. So I'm just going to kind of go over some of the features, and we'll talk about why this is a good idea, and you can just kind of make up your own mind if it's something that's worth it to you. It was definitely something that is worth it to me. So I'm going to flip the pump around here, and the first thing we're going to talk about is our inlet and outlet fittings. These are not proprietary fittings. You can find them. These are repairable, but these are quick disconnect fittings. So basically, you can push this down, and this locking, there's some bearing ring in there, and it will lock in your hose. It's quick disconnect though, which is critical for that non-permissive environment when we want to set this thing up very rapidly, extract water, and then we want to put it away very, very quickly. Very easy to plug those in. Also, different types of hose accessories. You can build them yourself if you want to make a longer hose or have a different type of hose. It makes it very easy to just get these connectors, and you can just use them however you want, and you can repair them very easily. It does come with plugs, which I think is a really nice touch on this. So basically you can see I just plugged it in. They are retained, so you won't lose them. Plugs are not necessary for the pump, but they are nice when you package the pump, you know, back up into a backpack or into a vehicle. The plugs prevent this from leaking into your vehicle excessively. They also prevent debris from getting inside of this if you, you know, if the pump is ever left out or anything like that. You can just close these up. So both sides have these kind of plugs that go in, and they are, like I said, they're retained, so you're not going to lose them, which I really like. And then this guy right here is actually just a bumper to protect the system if it ever you know, falls off of the truck bed or something like that. If something gets put on top of it, you know, it is going to protect the plastic components that are on this from getting crushed or broken. I kind of thought that was a little overkill when I first got the pump. I was like, hey, it's kind of taking up space and it's making the shape of this different. And then I proceeded to immediately drop this on accident completely on the top. And lo and behold, the pump still works because it has these bumpers on it. So a really nice touch. They do have a foam coating over them. So nice and quiet, but also can take a little bit of impact. And you can see that these are also repairable or removable. So you can, if you don't want them, or if you want to change how this mounts to something, maybe use those holes for, you can, which is something I like. It's very modular. We're going to go down to the bottom. So they attach to this plate. So this plate, we went through a few revisions with CANA, and one of the biggest points of feedback that we gave was having 1-inch strap holes to be able to lash this to something else. We're going to show you a configuration that we use with a backpack and a 5-gallon water can in a way that we kind of strap it down. But this is great for if you have some kind of mobility asset like a Polaris or something like that, and you want to permanently just hard mount this to the side. You can use these, you know, 1-inch strap holes to just do that. So that'll help you there. Also on the bottom, you can see that there's these they're spacers, which allows, you know, airflow and things like that to go through the bottom of the pump when it's on, but also they're vibration resistors, right? So this is going to soften up that noise that this is going to make. The pump does vibrate some, so that's going to help dissipate it. Inside, underneath the pump, which might be kind of hard to see from here, but there's actually anti-vibration components as well in how the pump is mounted to the plate. So this pump is very, very quiet. That is a point. We're gonna run it for you. You're gonna be able to hear. We're gonna do it in this nice, quiet studio environment, so you can hear what it actually sounds like. But the pump is very quiet, which is critical again for that non-permissive environment. You don't want people to hear when you switch this on. You know, and you're hiding in the tall grass with your hose out, stealing water from that water source. You do not want people to hear it. So very quiet, and that's something that is very hard to do well when you do it yourself. Again, could you figure it out? Yeah, but out of the box, this thing is already ready to go. We have on this side inlet. We do have a spin down kind of little filter strainer. It's actually not a filter. It's a strainer. And basically, that is going to catch that kind of like any little particulates, sand and stuff like that in here, hopefully before it gets eaten into the pump. And then out here, we just have our outlet nozzle, which does not have one. But something I wanted to point out on this side is this little black box right here. So this box is, for me, what makes this whole system so worth it. I wanted something that I could pull out and I knew was going to work. Had all the components that I needed with it. I didn't have to go source a bunch of other things. It's already there. I know that it's built to spec. It's been tested by an engineer. So this thing is like ready to rock. But the problem that I've had with pumps in the past is that they don't get clean 12-volt power all the time. If you are running this off of a vehicle battery or something like that, you might not be getting clean power. And what I mean by that is that your amps may fluctuate. You know, you have that 12-volt line, but your amperage is fluctuating a little bit. I've had these pumps fail. You'll hear them start to kind of do this cycle where they'll start cycling a little faster and then a little slower and a little faster when it's on some kind of dirty energy source. Well, I have news for you. In a disaster, you're maybe not going to be able to pick your energy source all the time. So this is going to help regulate that power, right? As long as you're feeding this thing the proper amount of 12-volt energy, it is going to run, and it's going to run consistently, which translates into cycle hours for this pump. So that is a proprietary piece of this technology. It is patent pending. But yeah, that box has a nice little on and off switch. Normally with a pump like this, you would utilize just unplugging it to power it on and off. Or you would have to wire in your own switch. But this is a nice housing that it's already in, hardened. And then on the back side, we have a Anderson plug, which if you're not familiar with Anderson, we'll talk about it when we get to the cable, but is a very universal plug, very robust. So that is, that's our pump. So we're going to talk about the power supply next, which is, again, very simple. It comes with the kit. It is a cigarette lighter, which is a good choice because every vehicle pretty much has that, but also our bigger battery packs, which we're going to talk about, the big Yetis, the big Anchors, you know, all these little power devices, those jumper cable things that your grandma has in her car, they all have a cigarette lighter adapter. So, you know, you just plug this guy into your car and you can get going right away. And then it just has an Anderson plug on the other side, which is, it's very nicely molded, and it's a complete and tested cable. So you know it's not going to have any problems. And this just simply plugs into the back side there. The cool thing about Anderson is that you can go on Amazon and you can buy an Anderson plug kit, right? You can go on there, you can search for it, and you can be like, I need 100 of these. And then you can, with very little training, you can build your own cable. So you could build Anderson to Anderson, or you could wire in a cable on this end into a fuse block on your overlanding rig or whatever, and then just have this, you know, coiled up somewhere, and you can pull it out when you need it and plug it in that way. So Anderson is very universal, and you can use it for other accessories too. So you can kind of standardize your power source connections, if that makes sense. So I really like Anderson, so it was a good choice on this. All right, so we're going to move on to hoses. So we have the short hose here. This is your outlet hose, and it has professionally crimped quick disconnect end on it, which I'm going to connect to the right side of this pump. And how you know is two things. One, there's indicators. I'm actually going to show you. There's indicators on this side that show you the flow, right? So water comes in, it flows, it goes out. But an easier way is to just look for the strainer on this side. That's your inlet side. So this right here is for our outlet side. So we're going to put it on the opposite side. And click it in, and it really is just so easy and fast. Quick hose disconnects are great because they're quiet, they're easy, and they allow you to get the hose on and off very quickly, so you can pack it up quickly and you can implement it quickly. So the other hose is a little different. It has the same connector, quick disconnect on one side, professionally crimped. I don't know how long it is. It's this long. I don't know what that is. I can't remember. I should have known that before we made a video about it. So sorry, CANA Provisions, but whatever. So yeah, this goes on the inlet side. Just plug that guy in. Again, very quick to plug in, very easy. And then this side has a pre-filter, or a strainer on it, but it is a pre-filter process. Now this is not filtering to make your water safe. This is filtering to make your water have less particulates in it. It is very critical to preserve your water filters in the purification process by having a pre-filter on the pump, right? So this is going to pre-filter water coming in. You're obviously trying to exploit the cleanest part of the water that you can, and then it is straining inside of this again before it gets into the pump. And then hopefully the water that's coming out the other end is free of debris, so that you can then put it through a small micron purification process, and then ultimately chemical purification, because this water is very suspect, most likely. So yeah, those are the hoses, and that's setting them up. So getting the pump into operation, I want to get it working inside the studio here so you can get a feel for how it sounds. And this is a non-primed pump, right? So we haven't ran a ton of water through it or anything. It's not full of water. You saw me taking the hoses off. There's a little bit in there, but it's not pre-primed, so you're going to hear the startup noise. This is a sound studio, so it's very insulated in here, so you're going to be able to hear it. We have a mic up there. I have my loud mic on. You will be able to hear this thing running, so you can get an idea of how loud it is, which is one of my favorite pieces, is the fact that it is so quiet. And this is on a metal table that you're going to be hearing it on. So I do have a 5-gallon water jug below me, so I'm going to put the pre-filter strainer side inside of that jug there. And then I have another jug here that I'm going to use to put the water into. So I'm going to pull this hose out here. This is the hose end that we're going to place inside the jug. But before we can get this pump working, we need to address one more thing, and that is just power. So we're just going to undo the cable. We're going to use this cable to demonstrate in here. But like I said, you can adapt this to other 12-volt power sources. Very simple. You match red with red, and you plug it into the backside there. We make sure that the pump is in the off position. And then we are going to take this, and we're going to plug it into what I have here is a Yeti big power source. Let me move it over so you can see it. This is, you know, Yeti 1400. It's made by Goal Zero. Lots of energy density here, a big battery. Obviously, not the only option that you have. We have other options here as well. This is something that's very small that you could use. These are Dakota Lithium, you know, 12-volt, 10-amp-hour batteries. And this is a hardened power solutions brick on the top that you can basically plug in and then pump energy out. It has Anderson plugs built into it. Really great, very small package. So again, this is for the demonstration. You could run it off this. You could run it off your car, or you could run it off something very small. This guy, even smaller, is another hardened power systems product. It is called the, I believe this one is called the Revolt. And it has USB and Anderson plugs on it, which again, you could run the pump off of this as well. So this is a very small package. So very lightweight too. These are LiFePO 4 batteries, so they're very, very lightweight. So other options. So don't get your mindset. I don't want to hear in the comments about how you have to have this giant Yeti battery pack. Although somebody will say it. I'm sure that they will. But we're going to plug in. So now we have power and we have the pump set up. So I'm gonna get this hose, and then I'm going to hold it up here so you can actually see when the water starts from once I start the pump. So we're gonna be quiet so you can hear. And so this leads me to one of the TTPs for me when using any sort of pump is that if you are in any sort of, if you think you're in any sort of danger, you need it to be absolutely silent, you should prime the pump. Before you go out, you should prime the pump. You're always going to have a little bit of airflow that has to run into the pump, but if you listen now, it's very, very quiet. So this pump is going to pump at about a rate of 3 to 3.5 gallons per minute. And with the voltage regulated, it's going to stay at about that. So we're able to fill these 5-gallon Scepter water cans very quickly, and you're able to power through a lot of them to move a lot of water. So when we talk about what the water needs are for the individual, right? We like to say that about 5 gallons, which is this container, it's a 5-gallon container, per person per day is kind of the minimum amount that you need for sustained operations, right? We're talking you are having to do your own gardening, you're having to do your own every type of work, security, whatever. You need a lot of water, a lot more than you would if you're just sitting at your desk working all day, but you also need 5 gallons of water for hygiene, and you need it for cooking, which is something that I think a lot of people in their water plans, they kind of forget that they're going to need those things, right? You need to at some point bathe yourself. You need at some point to clean a wound. You need at some point to wash all of the cooking utensils that you've been using, because we know that disease is going to kill far more people in some sort of emergency than any of the tactical stuff that we all like to train for, and all the stuff that is dangerous and fun to train for. This is the stuff that's actually going to keep you alive. So 5 gallons per day per person in the household is what you should be planning for. And you need to be able to move that water efficiently, quickly, and safely from whatever environment into your can so you can bring it back. And this is dirty water. Right now, obviously, we're just using clean water, but it is dirty water containers. And then you have to take that water and purify it in whichever way that you can. So one last thing I'll talk about is what things do people use to purify water? Just to give an example, this isn't an all-encompassing video on purification, but I think it would be it would leave that in too open and people would not understand the last component of the system. So this is a very small filter, and this is the most common filter that we see come through classes down at Darcy. These are inline gravity-fed filters, and how this works, take this thing out of the bag. This one's brand new. And how this works is you have 2 bags. Essentially, you have this dirty water bag, and then you have a clean water bag. And you have the filter and some hosing that goes in between the 2 bags. And so you would take your dirty water from this container that you just pumped out of a lake or something, and you would put it inside of this bag. And then you would, the water would, through gravity, you would hang this. The water would run down some tubes, and then it would go through this, this filter, and then it would, go ultimately into the clean water reservoir, or you could just let it drip into another water can that was for clean water. And these are not bad tools, but these filters need clean water. And what I mean is water that is free of debris and particulates. The minute you start trying to take the water that you pumped out of, a dirty, area without having some kind of pre-filtering, without being selective, if you try to put sludge in this, it's going to clog up almost immediately, and you will start the inevitable downfall of water security, of trying to back purge this and get the water to run through there. So, if you start with dirty water in this, then it's not going to work very well. A lot of people are staking their entire water security claim on a filter system like this. It makes you feel good. It made me feel good to think that I spent the money, I have a couple of these filters, and they work so good. I go and I climb, and we go and we hike, and we backpack out west, and we use these all the time, and it gives us drinkable water, and we don't get sick. The problem with that is that we're taking our water from pristine locations. No one is stopping at the parking lot mud hole at the start of a trail and taking out their dirty water bag and going, let me get this nice sludgy mud water and put it in here. Everyone is going to the mountain stream that's fast moving, and they're collecting their water that way. That's fine for recreation, but we are not going to get to choose the time and place that we extract water necessarily. We're always going to try to control those variables, but maybe we're not going to be able to. That system will fail you. I promise you it will fail you if you rely solely on that. The other problem is that this bag is 140 ounces, 4 liters. So you are not going to get enough water to supply yourself and your family by having just one of these. So filtration is still a security issue. Right now, the solution that I use is having multiple, versions of this that I can hang multiple versions. These are still useful tools, and they're still things that I keep. This is very mobile, it's very packable, it's very lightweight. It's something that can be used, but I need to be able to get a lot of water from my source and bring it with me back to be purified. So I'm going to be using more of gross bucket filter type stuff to get that water clean. But getting that dirty water in the first place is the piece that this solves. I'm really excited to see what CANA Provisions is going to come out with in the future. They have already shown prototypes of some very, very cool forced purification systems. some power systems that they have that's going to allow you to harvest power from different types of sources and use that to charge your batteries and things like that. So really excited to see what they have, but this product is on the market now. It's something you can get if they're still in stock. I'm not sure as of the time that this video comes out if they're still in stock, but you know, if water security is important to you, and hopefully after watching this video you think it is, then it might be worth taking a look. This is an out-of-the-box solution that you can put on the shelf today and you know that you can collect water efficiently and in mass amounts. So that's it, guys. That's our team room for today. Thanks for checking it out. Go ahead and tell us what you're doing for water security. We really want to hear. We always want to hear what kind of filters are you using. How much time do you spend training on it? Have you ever actually tried to do kind of that full mission profile and supply your local group with water? And how did it work out? What were the shortcomings? And you know, what were your successes? So we want to hear about it. Comment on the video. Obviously, if you know somebody who is suffering from water anxiety, send the video over to them. Let them check it out. Help them out. So appreciate it, guys, and we'll see you next time.